This is your last chance to discreetly sneak out if you don't want to stay for the meeting, including the bird.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
Come in. Me too. Are those the sour?
All right, good evening. I call this meeting of the Prosper Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Mr. Mays Davenport, would you lead our invocation, please?
I would love to. Heavenly Father, we just thank you so much for this evening. We thank you so much for these students that perform for us this evening, and just the example they are of just the great things that are going on in this district, and the wonderful students we have, and the support of the teachers and the administration as they help to equip these young people to be strong men and women and talented men and women. And Lord, we just are so thankful as a school board to be able to participate. This is School Board Appreciation Month, but it's us that get the opportunity to serve this district and serve the parents, and it's just a blessing in our lives. And Father, we just pray that you continue to watch over us, give us wisdom and direction this evening as we make decisions, and watch over us as we go out this week. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is this the only public comment? Okay, great. We move into the public comment section, the open forum section of our agenda. I'd like to ask, what's that? Yeah. Ask Mr. Goodman, I guess, to approach. I'm going to read this, though. We now move to the public comment section of our agenda. The board welcomes comments from citizens who've completed the public comment cards. Please be advised that the information shared in public comment is not an endorsement of the information shared by the presenter and solely provides the opinion of the individual speaker, not the district. Please keep all public comments related to school district governance and operations. If you have a specific concern related to an employee of the district or a specific student issue, you are encouraged to utilize the district's grievance procedures provided in the board policies. Each grievance procedure allows for an individual to redress grievances for the Board of Trustees. Finally, remember that the board may not discuss or act upon any issues that are not properly posted on the agenda. This is always the most uncomfortable part, is if it's not an agenda item, we don't have the ability to respond. So to whatever comments you have, but we'd certainly glad to hear from you. And the floor is yours, Mr. Goodman. If you'll introduce yourself and give us your address for the record.
Sure. My name is Jared Goodman. I live at 1261 Kirkwood Lane here in Prosper. I'm a graduate of the United States Military Academy, decorated war veteran. I've lived here in Prosper for over a decade. I love this school. I want to thank the board for all you do. I think it's great. I have two kids in the district. Recently, I've spoken with other parents who are concerned with the discipline process here in the school district. I know personally, I've talked to several parents who have had administrators who I think have overstepped their bounds, who haven't looked at the history of certain kids, their grades, their past discipline, and have handed out punishments that are way too harsh. Specifically, I won't mention names, but my daughter was overly punished. She was the victim of a crime. A boy sent her pictures that he shouldn't have at home. The school found out about them, and she was given a very harsh punishment by school administrators, one that way oversteps their bounds, in my opinion. And she's the victim, and now she's the victim again. And I think that's terrible. We live in a time where we should be taking women's issues seriously. And for the school to make her a victim a second time is disgusting, in my opinion. I think this needs to be looked at. I think the process needs to be followed. I'm all about good order and discipline, being a military person. And I think the process needs to be followed, and it's not. Because 75 days in DAEP is ridiculous. That school is put there for kids who can't be in classrooms, who have strong disciplinary problems, and it's dangerous. And now my daughter's going to be there, and that's terrible. And it's not just me. I've talked to other parents who have run into this issue, and I think it needs to be looked into. I strongly hope you consider that argument. I want to thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. And thanks for serving the parents in this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Appreciate your comments. Okay. Moving into the consent agenda.
Have the minutes and the enrollment, you can see that number there, we're at 17,100 now, or we're on January 9th. And then you can see the progress of the schools that will open in the fall. This is Johnson Elementary, located in Mustang Lakes subdivision. This is Rushing Middle School over there on Fish Trap, where everything's under construction. Very similar to Hayes, as you might notice. And then Rock Hill. Starting to take shape.
Very nice.
So,
We feel like we're on schedule for those?
yes, sir,
Under
absolutely.
control. Absolutely. Fabulous. We haven't missed one yet since I've been around.
That's right.
Great. Anything else under the consent agenda? That's it? Okay, it's a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Director Smith. Second?
A second.
All right, thank you there. All in favor? Okay, great.
Need to do this, we do this annually, and as we are building the calendar and trying this go round to give you guys a 2-year look instead of 1-year look, since there's really not that much movement, and be a little more family friendly, if you will, as they plan trips in their family. So we are asking for the 2,100 minutes. Everything on the state world is no longer days, it's minutes for professional development. We get a lot of use out of those days, and really they're essential to everything that we've got going on. We ask a lot of teachers, and with that comes a lot of necessary training.
Right.
So I recommend that you approve.
All right, that's an action that requires a motion
total general funds cash investments for this year is almost $150 million compared to $126 million last year. And as you can see, it breaks it down by text pool, Lone Star, and the other institutions. This one is actually divided by funds. As you can see, the total from comparison a year ago, we increased almost 75 million increase, which is almost a 30% increase. And the general fund went from 126 million to 149. As you can see, the bond fund went up from 87 to 131 compared to this time last year. The revenue as we received total for the year to date is $93.1 million compared to this time last year, 70.1%, which is a 32% increase. Largely, well, basically it comes from both tax collections and the increase in the state funding through December. This shows you the percentage of what was local and what was state funding. This year we're receiving a more state funding through December, but it will balance out based on the next 8 months of activity. As you can see, our budget revenue for the year is 151 million in revenue, and we've collected 93 million, which is 61.5% completed. Last year we was at 55.6. That shows us a good trend of tax collections for this coming year. And speaking of tax collections, this is a graph that shows what our tax collections was for the last 4 months compared to the year before. As you can see, in the month of December, we collected $90.8 million in tax compared to this time last year, 55. But as you can see, we're really on target in our collection for the year. This one shows our ag rollback tax collections. As you can see, we've had 4 months of activity receiving some ag rollback revenues for 4 months straight, and it's over $1 million that we've collected for the year. It's as you can see, it's over 124% from the prior year. Expenses. Real quickly, no surprises here, but you can see where payroll was $41 million compared to the last year. This year is 50.3 million after the first 4 months. Total expenditures is about a 22% increase, which is what we budgeted for. So we're right on what we targeted to be. As you can see, the other non-payroll items, the increase in services mainly is utility costs for the addition of all the 5 projects, as well as the small travel. And again, it's what TEA requires us to do, but when we pay our property insurance, it is considered, it's not travel, but it's part of the object code, which is under travel in most cases. This shows you the total expenditures by object codes. As you can see, this year 89% is paid for payroll. This time last year was 88.6. As you can see, there's almost there's no significant changes in the type of costs and expenditures from prior year. We've expensed 56.5 million total through December, and our budget's 158 million, and it's basically the same as it was last year. Comparison total. Just real briefly, this is the expenses by functions. As you can see, it's very similar. As on the bottom, as you can see, the instructional represents the largest portion. As you can see, no surprises here in the compared to the prior year. 4 funds that 3 additional funds that we also look at is our food service funds, our our total budget is 5.672. We received 2.4 million for the first 4 months, and we're on target for achieving our goal here as well. Debt service, no changes here. No expenses. Our first semi-annual payment will be due February the 15th next month. That total is around $28 million, and we've already received $32 million in revenue, along with our $10 million in fund balance, so we will not have a problem with that. And our last one is the athletic fund. This is really, the budget revenue is over $305,000 for the first 4 months. A lot of activity going on in our stadium, other activities. As you can see, we should meet our budget without any issues. Real quickly, just the last two are expenses by bond. Through the end of total through the end of December, since last May, we've spent $160 million out of the last bond referendum that we completed the sale back in May, and we've spent 80% of those funds through the end of December. And this one is the two that we received in November and December. The total of sale was $100 million, and of those we've expensed $16.6 million for those two projects. And I believe that's the end. Any questions?
Questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Rusty. Appreciate that. Requires a motion to approve the financial investment tax report.
Make a motion to
Thank you,
approve.
Mays. Thank you, Jana. All in favor? Any budget amendments?
No, sir.
Okay.
On to investment pools. This is just adding more pools to the lists.
Add widths. Oh,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know if Ms. Fulmer wants to speak to that or not. It's just, you can see the other opportunities there.
We currently use Tex Pool and Lone Star, which are solid pools. They've been around for a long time. This is an opportunity for us to diversify a little bit. We have recently sold $100 million, so we have a large portfolio that would really like to make sure that we not only get yield, but also have that pie chart be nice and even, and so we'd like to add some more pools. The one thing is with Texas Term as well, they have a great program where you can also purchase individual CDs through them, kind of like the Cedars program, but they do it through the investment pool, and they maximize it so that even with the interest earnings, it'll be below the $250,000 threshold for FDIC coverage, so that way we're collateralized on all that. So it's a really nice program.
okay. Questions for that?
On the Logic Fund, is there anything different to get the higher rate? Is it
That one's a corporate
term.
fund. So the other ones are sort of stylized as government funds. They just typically invest in treasuries and agencies and maybe some overnight repos that are also.
overnight stuff, short term?
Yes, sir. The Logic will add commercial paper. So that's got a little bit, it's all, A1, P1 commercial paper, but a little bit more risk. So it's a little bit, and we would apportion that, again, realizing that that's a corporate fund and the others are government. The other ones are just, in my opinion, very safe haven kind of things, even though they're all rated AAA.
Good. Okay, thank you. Requires a motion to approve an authorization for participation in those investment pools.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Deborah. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mays. All in favor? Okay, more pools.
And this is another formality, if you
Yep.
will. Mr. McCall, who we usually work with, he's independent now, is under Abernathy, so we
Okay.
need to re-up a new agreement, basically dealing with the same person.
Same person, different
Yeah.
firm.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion to approve that.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Beavers. Second. Thank you, Jana. All in favor?
And maintenance and operations. operation. It's, this is always just a challenge for us, and this will give us just more to pull from for all the positions we might have, but it gives us, instead of saying we'll just use this vendor or whatever else, that has proven to be a challenge.
So this is just approved vendor list, essentially,
That's essentially what it is. It allows us to use any and/or all of these to fulfill our needs in the M&O part of our district.
Any questions on that, comments? All right, we need a motion to approve that as well.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Jana. Second?
I'll second the
Thank you,
motion.
Deborah. All in favor? Great.
And then this was the only item of all the FF&E and everything you approved, I think, a couple months or so ago. This was the only thing that we didn't have in yet for the rock bottom price of $830,000. Now you can see that's really a not to exceed number because it has a contingency number in there. But I recommend that you approve the 830 and we will, I'm confident most certainly we'll come under that, but that's the number we're seeking approval for.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you, Jana. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Bill. All in favor? Okay. All right, we'll be moving, need a motion to go into executive session.
I'll make a motion to go to.
Thank you, Deborah. Second? Mary? So we good?
All second.
All in favor? Great. So we will be going into executive session. You're always welcome to stay and see what happens when we come out. Nobody ever does, but you're welcome to do that. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Feel free to grab food on your way out.